Mortgage Dr. Rich here with some important information for you on temporary buydowns. What is a temporary buydown? Well, you may see it referred to as something called a 3-2-1 buydown or even a 2-1 buydown. And what this really talks about is seller's concessions. Now, let's define seller's concessions real quick. A seller's concession is when the seller forgoes a percentage of their purchase price that they receive for selling their home and gives it back to the borrower as an incentive to buy their home. These are usually common in a buyer's market when there are lots of properties for sale, but very few buyers. And the sellers do this to kind of incentivize a buyer to purchase their home. Now, mind you, whether you're using seller's concessions straight up as just that, or seller's concessions are being used through a temporary buydown scenario, they have to not exceed the maximum seller's concessions allowable for that particular mortgage product. But that's a conversation for a different day. So let me show you how a seller's concession in the form of a 3-2-1 buydown would pay out, okay? Or play out, I should say. So let's take a look at a specific example. The borrower is pursuing a loan amount to purchase someone's property if they were to, excuse me, $200,000. The seller will ask, what is the amount of the loan you would take if you did in fact purchase my home? $200,000. And what would the rate you would have be? 6%. All right. So what this means is if the borrower settles for this mortgage, they have a $200,000 starting loan balance at 6% fixed, typically for 30 years. They're going to have a principal and interest payment of $1199.10. That is what the lender wants from month one through month 360, 30 years. So the seller says, okay, I'll tell you what, I am going to concede $8,707.44 of the purchase price. I'm giving it back to you. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to your lender. So during the first year of your mortgage, instead of making a payment equivalent to a rate of 6%, you're going to make a payment equivalent to a rate of 3%. See, 3-2-1 buydown. It's 3% below the current rate, the note rate. And that would be $843.21. Excuse me. That represents a $355.89 difference between what the borrower is going to have to pay and what they technically need to pay. So when we multiply 355.89 times 12, because of course they're 12 months in a year, we come up with 4270.68. Year two rolls around. The borrower steps up to making a payment at a rate equivalency of 2% below the note rate, which in this case would be 4%. That payment amount is $954.83, which is $244.27 below what the lender wants. So the seller knows that they have to add to that bucket 12 payments of $244.27, because again, they're 12 months in a year. Year two is up. Borrower goes to a payment amount equivalent to a rate of 1% below note rate, or in this example, 5%. Difference being $125.46. That times 12, $1505.52. So now when we add up the differentials from years 1, 2, and 3, which is 4270.68, 2931.24, and 1505.52, that's where we conclude that the seller will need to concede 8707.44. That goes to the lender. So when the borrower remits their first monthly payment, the lender takes that amount that they send, the $843.21, reaches into a suspense account, pulls out the $355.89 difference, and satisfies its need for a payment of $1199.10. And this goes on. And then, of course, in year four, the borrower steps up to that note rate, which they pay of $1199.10. And it's pretty good because at this point, all of that suspense account money has been depleted. So temporary buydowns or 3-2-1 buydowns are important tools that sellers can use in order to incentivize someone to buy their home. And let me just quickly sidebar. If it was a 2-1 buydown, the same process would have occurred, but with one fewer year of discounts. Simple as that. So the loan originator needs to know about this, because as an arrow in your quiver, if the borrower or seller are coming to terms, this might be the thing that bridges the gap, right? So you need to know about this, and you also have to know to structure it. All right. Hopefully that told you everything you need to know about temporary discount points. Like, follow, subscribe, share, do whatever you need to do to stay in touch with me and the tips and strategies that I provide through this video to help you knock the NMLS exam out of the park and launch your successful mortgage career. Mortgage Dr. Rich here saying goodbye for now. We'll see you soon.